Hello friends, welcome to this most important and concluding video on autism. Friends, last few years I have been making many videos on autism, explaining and helping parents on how to understand about autism, what are the various symptoms of autism, what are the sensory symptoms of autism, and how to manage their child with autism with homeopathic treatment. But friends, now this is the most important video on autism where I am going to share my research on last 6 years of treatment of autism in our clinics. So friends, watch this video till the end because this will be an eye opener for all those parents who have a doubt that if their child is having autism, will he be suffering lifelong? Is there any help? Is there any hope where you can reverse autism? So, friend, this is the research on 350 cases done in last 6 years from 2018 onwards to 2023. We have done research on almost 350 cases, and I am presenting my understanding and my research on autism. So, friend, what is autism? Autism is basically a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it is also called as a spectrum disorder. In this video, I am going to just brush up on small, most important points on autism, which will also be repeat of my previous videos, but it is worthwhile to have a brush up of our concepts on autism. So, autism is also called as a spectrum disorder. Why this is called as a spectrum disorder? Because in autism we see that various kids, they exhibit different kinds of symptoms, different types of sensory symptoms, different combinations of sensory symptoms, and to put all the kids into a single category was becoming difficult. So the DSM, which is the authority to classify various diseases, has now labeled different types of autism into a broader category called as a spectrum. So in spectrum, you see lot of different varieties of kids with autism. Hence, it is also called as a spectrum disorder. Now, friends, we when we want to understand autism and we want to help child with autism, the most important thing is to understand what is the type of autism in the child who is in front of me. So there are various types of autism, and depending upon what how they origin, what is the severity level, and what are the associated symptoms, autism has been classified into different types. So based on origin means from where, from what point the autism started. We divide autism into two categories, that is called as the primary autism and the secondary autism. Now, based on the severity of symptoms, we define autism as mild, moderate, or severe. So, when we see a child with autism, we try to put him into a category whether this child is having mild autism, moderate autism, or severe autism. And now, based on the associated symptom, like what the child is presenting with. So, few kids they present with brain damage, few kids have got mental retardation, few kids present with autism with mutism. So these are the different categories of children with autism which we have seen in the clinic, and then we have tried to analyze their responses, their prognosis, their improvements based on these criteria. The most important criteria on the treatment of autism is the type of autism, which means we have to understand that this autism is whether it is a primary autism or a secondary autism. And that is the most important point which we have understood and which has led or helped us to manage autism better. Friend, this is a very new concept of defining autism into primary or secondary category. This might not be useful for other doctors, but as a homeopath, when I have to manage a child with autism, I it is very important for me to understand what is the origin of autism. from where this autism started. Because only when I know that this is the cause of autism, and when I give an appropriate homeopathic medicine which will address the cause, we can see autism reversing. So primary autism means autism which is there in the child right from the child is born. So in this primary autism, the symptoms are present from the birth, and there are traits which the parents will be seeing when the child is almost 9 month old or a 1 year old. Or as a doctor, we ask the parents about that, what were the symptoms, what were the expression of the child, of the infant, when he was lying in the bed, when he was in the crib, whether he was walking properly, what was the speech, helping us to identify whether it is primary autism or a secondary autism. And then there is a second type of autism which we called as secondary autism, in which the child was normal for a certain period of time. The child was normal for a certain period of time, usually 18 months, and after that the child started deteriorating. Something happened at this stage where the child started deteriorating. He was normal here. He was talking, he was making an eye contact, he was having few words. But something happened at this stage, something happened, and then the child started deteriorating. This is called as the secondary autism. So, friend, now you must be feeling right that yes, why, knowing what was the origin is important. So suppose the child is born here, and if the autism started before the child is born, this is called as a primary autism. And if there is a regression, this is called as secondary autism. As a homeopath, it is very important for me, because if I know what is the cause, I can treat, I can help the patient. So whenever we want to solve any problem, we have to first go to the root cause, find out what is the root cause. And if we can able to identify the root cause, we'll be definitely able to help this child. So knowing whether the child is primary autism or secondary autism is very important. And the key to know whether the child is primary autism or secondary autism, my focus is always on the first birthday. If the child was happy and making and enjoying his first birthday and making an eye contact during the first birthday, I know now this child is quite normal. So if the child was enjoying his first birthday, I make him into category of secondary autism. And if the child was not making an eye contact during the first birthday, I know it is a primary autism. How does that help me again? Is that in case of primary autism, my main focus to understand and to find out is history during the pregnancy. What was the situation? What were the stresses? What medications? What exposure to radiation? What chemical exposure the mother had during the pregnancy is important when I want to handle primary autism. So in primary autism, if I see a child of primary autism, my focus will be on the pregnancy history. And if it is a secondary autism, I will try to assess, I will try to probe, I will try to find out that before the child started deteriorating at 18 months of the age, what was the major stress or what was the major factor that led the child to deteriorate, that led the child to regress. If I am able to find out that cause, I can assure you that autism can be reversed. Here, the challenge, of course, is to find out the cause. There are few cases where we are not able to trace the cause. Those are the cases where we are not able to help the parents more. But if I am able to find the cause, then, friends, mind you, we can help this child. Now, the one more second most important that why are we seeing more incidences of autism post pandemic? Friends, in my clinic, I have seen there is a 7 seven times more number of children of autism which we are seeing nowadays compared to what we used to see earlier. So I have seen this trend that post pandemic, post COVID, the number of incidences, the number of children who are exhibiting symptoms of autism has increased a lot. And why is this? The main reason is that in pandemic what happened was all the parents were at home. There was a lockdown, parents were at home, there was work from home, and then the child who was disturbing the parents, not letting them do their office work, they gave the most important thing, gadget, to the child, so that he is engrossed in the gadget, he's engrossed in the screen, and the parents can concentrate on their job. And this is the most important cause of autism nowadays, which we see in children post pandemic. And I have called labeled this as virtual autism. So in virtual autism, what we see is that children were confined to home due to lockdown, no opportunity to go out. They were not able to go out, so their other senses were not developed. Parents were busy with work from home and the children were given screen. Now, when children were given screen, they were only concentrating constantly on the screen. So, friends, we have these seven senses, which is a basic biology class understanding that there are seven senses: the sight, the olfactory, auditory, gustatory, touch, vestibular, and proprioception. So, when the child is growing, when the child is starting to learn, starting to walk, trying to explore the surrounding, all his seven senses are stimulated and are at work. But in cases post pandemic, what has happened is during the pandemic, the child was exposed only these two key areas, because when he was engrossed in screen, only these two senses were hyper stimulated: the auditory, the no, the voice, and the eyes. He was constantly looking at the screen. These two senses were hyper stimulated, and the other senses, which a normal child should be balanced, this where the child was not going out, this was very less stimulated. So when these two senses were hyper stimulated, were stimulated more, the other senses had to compensate, and that is why we see a major sensory issues in autism. And that is why we call this as a virtual autism, because of the exposure to screen. These are the normal sinuses when a child is growing out, playing around, seeing lot of things in the environment, going to garden, playing, then all his senses are stimulated properly, and there is a process called as synaptic pruning, and all the synapses are then developed properly for a proper communication. But in cases of children who were exposed to school, the synapses were not given an opportunity to prune, and there are excesses of synapses. Friend, this topic on synaptic pruning I have explained in one of the other videos, the link of which will be also there in the description box, and this link of all the videos will be there in the description box explaining about the various differences of autism and sensory. But to make things simpler, I had to touch on this topic because this was the major understanding which has helped Homeocare to give better results in autism. So friends, what we did was we had analyzed almost 350 cases were analyzed over a period of 6 years. We analyzed 350 cases, and now what I am going to present you is the data analysis and research what we found out on various aspects of autism. So friend, this is now one of the most important part of the video which help you to understand and have a broader understanding on autism. So we analyzed these 350 cases, and what we found out, we tried to analyze on various aspects of autism, and what we found out, like what are the types of autism which we have seen in these 350 cases. and we found that almost 37% of the children are having primary autism and 63% are having secondary autism. 37% of the children who came to our clinic were showing symptoms of primary autism, whereas a major 63% of the kids who came to our clinic were having secondary autism. So this also opened up a new area of understanding that why post pandemic we are seeing more number of cases of secondary autism. Then the next point of research was that what are the gender pattern when we see a case of autism, what is the ratio proportion of males and females? So we found out that 24% of the cases which came to our clinic were females, and almost 76% of the cases which came to our clinic were males. So this was the ratio of female to male of all the cases which were there in autism. The third aspect was we tried to see what is the level of severity of these cases. So out of the mild, moderate, and severe, so we saw a increased more number of cases were of moderate autism compared to mild and severe categories. Then we tried to find out that what is the labor history, what is the pregnancy history in these cases, and we found out that in almost 64% of the cases the mother were having a c-section, the delivery were there through c-section, and 36% of the mothers had normal delivery. All these small point research points has helped us to understand autism better, what are the probable causes, and now when we are guiding the future moms to be aware of all these things and try to see that we prevent autism right from its inception. Now, very important point is that we try to find out the major cause of autism. And in homeopathy, we also consider the emotional factor as also one of the major reason contributing to autism. So we try to see what is the ailment form and we cause of the autism, and we have divided that into primary and secondary. Like how many? So when you talk of screen time, exposure to screen time, what is the percentage of primary and secondary? So we saw that only 3% of the kids who presented had an history of exposure to excessive screen compared to secondary autism where it was more than 43%. So you see second cause as the 4-second feeling that during the pregnancy the mother was not being attended to. There was problem in the families. She was feeling neglected. She was feeling alone. Husband was away in different city working. So we see that what is the cause, the 4-second feeling with the what the mother was feeling alone. So 25% of primary autism. So in cases of primary autism during the pregnancy when the mother was feeling alone, we see more number of cases of autism compared to secondary autism, which was only 16%. Then we thought of hypoxia. That means during the labor the child had some problem and the child was not having oxygen during the delivery. So there was hypoxia and there was an impact on the brain. In that, we found that the 27% of cases of primary autism. So that means primary autism is more common with hypoxia compared to secondary autism. And this is the way we try to find out various things like for fear. If the mother had got some incident of fear during pregnancy, 14% of the cases of primary autism were having fear and 9% of secondary. Vaccination, one of the most important probable cause or autism. So in primary autism, vaccination has hardly any role, only 3%. But in cases of secondary autism, almost 12% of the cases were having an history of vaccination. Same way with antibiotics, some allopathic medicines given during pregnancy or during the early stage of children, anticipation, suppression of some illness, anger, grief, or some financial stress. So this was a complete understanding of the various percentage of the causes of autism which we have seen in our clinics. Now, so just to again recap, so in cases of primary autism, what was the major cause? These are the trend lines which we see for cases of primary autism. We see that the hypoxia and a forsaken feeling in the mother during pregnancy contribute to most of the cases, whereas separation or screen time was not so common when we talked of primary autism. Exactly opposite is now the secondary autism. So when we see the cause, what can be the major cause of secondary autism, we see that the screen time, 43% of the kids who presented with secondary autism had screen exposure to screen, and then there are other mental or vaccination causes not so common. So this is a major jump. 43% the cause is scream, and then the neglected feeling or the forsaken feeling in the mother, or there is some separation in the family. 16% of cases presented with these causes. So from this, what we understand that in cases of primary autism, hypoxia and mental stress during pregnancy was very common compared to secondary autism where exposure to screen, the virtual autism, was very common. Fred, this is a very detailed understanding and very important revelation for us also to manage autism. Today I know what are the major causes, and now we are now guiding parents and to be mothers that what how they should manage their pregnancy and how they can avoid or prevent autism in their children. Now, one of the most final concluding things is what is the prognosis. Friends, mind you, there are many people who say that once autism you cannot help. Few people have also said or commented that autism is not a disease. So friend, we are here not talking of disease or disorder. DSM has classified this as a problem, a disorder. So rather than going into that controversy whether it is a disease or whether it is a disorder or it is, we have tried to help out. We have tried to see whether we can help these children. And the prognosis was very much startling and revealing to us also. A problem which many say is not curable, a problem which many parents are now suffering from. We have tried to understand and analyze from our cases, and we found beautiful understanding. 42% of the cases which came to us were better. Friends, this is a big number where 42% of the cases which came to us, which were here in the clinic, were having good improvement. They were better. Of course, there was a category of patient, 34% of the patient also left the treatment. That means they did not continue treatment for, they left the treatment halfway. And this is also my urge to parents that don't leave the treatment halfway. Don't get swayed away by various people saying that, okay, don't do this, don't do that, this is not effective, that is not effective, therapies will help, don't, there is no treatment. No, those 34% of the patient, they, because of some reason, because of some problem, they did not continue the treatment. And 18% of the cases, friends, were showing very good result. That means we could almost reverse autism in these 18% of cases. So friends, if you combine these two things, then almost 60% of the patients who have there in our clinics had shown remarkable improvement. 18% were almost reversed. 42% were showing good improvement, and only 6% of the cases which were there in our clinic were are not better. They are not improving. Friend, this is also one of the most important point which I would like to highlight over here is that we are not gods. I cannot say, I don't claim that I can reverse autism in all the patients. But friends, our aim is to give maximum help to this patient, maximum possible help, maximum possible results in these cases. And I'm very happy today to tell you that almost 60% of the patients which had come to our clinic, they were held in some way or the other. Few percentage of patients were also not better, few had left treatment, but this result is very encouraging, and we are very much happy to announce that yes, we have a better understanding and better results in autism. Friend, this was the most important research which we had done, and I'm happy to share this research findings with you all so that you can educate your neighbors, you can educate other parents to look at homeopathy as one of the most major alternative to treatment of autism. Top 10 remedies, what are the major remedies which we have used is, which were helpful, this there are homeopathic medicines which were helped. This is a percentage again, with again we had analyzed on not better, left treatment, good result, better. So these are the few remedies: lycopodium, thuja, calcarea muriaticum, calcarea sulf, crocus, phosphorus, calcarea iode, sacramal, tarantula, and hyacinthus. These are the top 10 remedies which we have found out in our clinic helping children with autism. Now, when I share this slide, I again want to caution is that don't tomorrow go and buy these medicines from market and think that this will help autism. Friends, homeopathy is a different system of medicine where we analyze each child. We try to find out various causes of autism, primary, secondary, whether the child was having hypoxia, vaccinations, screen time, and then based on that we give a unique remedy to this child. So though these are the list of commonly used, maximally used medicines in our clinic, this is not what we recommend. I again try to give a strong disclaimer that these are not the remedies which will cure autism. These are a data, a statistic which we found out that what are the commonly indicated medicines which is. So example, if I take one medicine that is called lycopodium. So there are cases which were also not better with lycopodium. So this green indicates that cases which are not better. So not that every time a remedy is going to help. Homeopathy is a different system of medicine which treats every child as different and every child as a different individual. So there is a unique medicine for each child, a tailor-made medicine for each child.